Well, hello everyone, good morning and welcome to Live at the Waterhole. It is wonderful to have you with us today. I am excited to see all that we may find here at the Waterhole. We're starting off in Botswana here at Menakwena with some beautiful elephants and zebra. My name is Amy and I'm excited for another show with you. We've had a wonderful week so far, filled with a lot of animals as it's starting to heat up across at least southern Africa, and we've had a little bit of rain around, quite a lot of sunshine, and it looks like the elephants and zebra are hanging out here enjoying this spot. Now remember everyone that this is of course a live and interactive show, so please do chat to me. I'd love to hear from you. Any questions you may have, any comments about what we're looking at, feel free to just say hello if you would like to, and you can do so through a variety of different ways, whether it's through our WhatsApp line. You can join the conversation on X. You can also chat to us in the YouTube chat stream or via the Wild Earth website or the app. Seems like there's some big elephants and some small ones in between. I think those are some guinea fowl as well in the distance moving around here. I'd love to see a elephant pool party today. That's definitely on the top of my wish list. I wonder if this boy is heading towards some of the drinking water, or maybe just looking for a deeper spot to splash around, or maybe making his way away from the water entirely. Alright, well, while these elephants and zebra enjoy some time here, let's see what's happening at Olifants. Oh my word, this is great. I didn't know what to expect, but I almost thought it was a statue for a second. But I did see the eye move there. What a view. This is very, very cool, everyone. We have a Nile crocodile here that's showing off a little bit for us. It's a very somewhat scary mouth, I would say, with all those teeth. But wow, what a view. So interesting to see. Fascinating coloration. You can see him or her. For me, it's impossible to tell whether male or female unless you see mating happening or the female heading off to lay your eggs, or with the little ones as well. That can also tell you. Males do tend to get quite large as well, but very difficult with quite a long lifespan as well to actually determine the exact sex of the individual. Oh, it's winking at us. Shelley, so very interesting question there that you have, asking if crocodiles have tongues or not. So they do have tongues, but they are, unlike ours, immobile. So it actually is sort of stuck, as it were, in a fixed position to the base of the mouth. And I believe that is to ensure that it doesn't get caught when the crocodile is biting down with its incredibly strong bite force. And it doesn't necessarily need it for eating or swallowing or anything like that, because of the way crocodiles sort of break off chunks and just swallow those bits whole. They don't necessarily need that tongue for any other purposes, but it is there. I think it is that sort of, the discolored bits in the middle are made up of part of that, and it sort of sits there at the base of the jaw, what we're sort of directly looking at right now. Yeah, Fuzzy Dunlop, I'm not sure. Are we watching him or is he watching us? I think it's going both ways here, with us looking at it and it looking at us. Another interesting thing about the crocodile's tongue is that it forms part of what we call the gular flap, and it essentially seals off the mouth so that when the crocodile goes underwater, it can safely do so without drowning, which is very helpful, of course. And because it does breathe with lungs, it's not like a fish that uses gills to be able to extract oxygen from the water. It does have to come up to breathe, but it does also can spend extended periods underneath the water, and in order to be sealed off and stop water from entering, that whole sort of mechanism, including the flattened tongue and tissue at the back of the throat, form the gular flap. Mel, so yeah, most likely there are a few teeth missing here. In between, it does look like a few gaps, and that's very normal for crocodiles. They are polyphodont, which basically means that they can replace their teeth. So it's not a major issue for them whenever they lose some. Sometimes they'll fall out, sometimes they'll get broken off throughout the course of its life. And so they just replace one after the next. Yeah, Penelope, a fantastic screenshot. You could definitely, if one wanted to, give maybe somebody a fright, put it as your laptop screensaver, or someone else's laptop screensaver, and or wallpaper. And when they turn on their computer, they've got that to greet them. Leslie, you are looking forward to some bird watching. Fingers crossed, Leslie. I heard some European bee eaters on the show yesterday, so I'm really hoping that maybe we get a view of them at some point at one of the water holes. That would be wonderful. They are such beautiful birds, and it's so nice to know that they're back from their migration back to southern Africa. Oh, there's a little bit of movement there. Yes, Fuzzy Dunlopy is definitely, or she is really ready for its dentist appointment, that's for sure. It's waiting. It's like, is anybody gonna come? Sometimes there are little plovers and things like that that will actually come and peck between the teeth, providing a bit of a cleaning service. Wow, well, this was fantastic. We're going to let him carry on waiting for the dentist. And while we do, let's head over to Oldonyo. My name is Amy, and today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. Some ellies that we're approaching now.
Light on her as well is absolutely gorgeous.
So we are going to enjoy the rest of this sunset.
Wow, this is absolutely crazy.
And thank you for joining us. For myself and Cam, we will see you next time.
Can you hear that? The wild is calling.
Well, there we go. The zebra's arriving. And interesting how they've the giraffes at least have sort of taken turns. Oh, he's giving her a bit of a sniff there. You can see how he's bending and sort of sniffing her backside, which is very common when it comes to giraffes. Male and females testing, seeing if she's coming into estrus or not. Oh. She's just trying to have a drink. That was quite funny. Yes, wildlife lady, it is. It does seem like it is the giraffe's turn, and at least one zebra at the moment. Yesterday, we pretty much had elephants here the whole show, and when they are around so many bulls like that, a lot of the other species sort of just stand by on the side waiting for a gap. But they haven't, maybe they have come and gone already, but perhaps they're still going to come a little bit later on in the show, so we'll wait and see. But it's nice. I'm so happy for the other animals when the elephants aren't here, actually. Just for them to be able to, I feel, not rush their drink and rather come and have the place to themselves for a little bit. I don't think they care whatsoever. They just do what they need to do when they need to do it. Well, it does seem like the giraffes are finishing here. We'll keep our eyes on Old Dunyo, see if anything else pops up. But in the meantime, let's head over to Elephant Pan. Oh, wow! Here we go. That is a European bee-eater, I think. Let me just confirm that. The lighting is a little bit tricky, but it's definitely a bee-eater. Let's check the tail, because we do also get swallowtail bee-eaters, and that tail is looking to me like it could be that rather than the European. So let me just confirm. All right, well, I'm just going to check. I think that may have been the swallowtail. It's definitely a cur in Botswana, and they've got that clear swallowtail, which the Europeans do not have. So, wow, that would have been a very, very special sighting. All right, while we wait to see maybe... Oh, there they are. There we go. Oh, let's not go anywhere. Oh, wow, this is very cool. I think it is a swallowtail, everyone. It's quite slim as well in comparison. I saw these birds at Imabula actually for the first time, but the lighting on the head is just putting me off slightly. Quite a rufous head, whereas usually it's quite green, but that could just be the lighting. And they're known to come back, all bee eaters really, to the same spot. So we'll just give it a second to see if they appear again. You can see it actually caught something when it landed back there. There it is. It is tricky to say. Coloration wise, I want to go with European with that brown head, just because of that fact. It has a slight fork, which is also normal, not as prominent as the swallowtail. So I think that these are the European. That's my gut instinct on it. But we were just talking about them returning, and then to put one on screen is really, really cool. Yeah, the swallowtail has a much more green head, and I just wanted to make sure before I identify it incorrectly. But I think we did have 2 European bee eaters that are back and hanging around here, which is fantastic to see. So there we go, a little bit of birding, which is fantastic. My name is Amy, and today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently.
Oh, she didn't catch it.
Come on, Tommy. Watch this, we're about to see a kill.
You can see how close he is from where I am.
Out here, every wild moment counts, and as a Wild Earth explorer, you will not miss out. Watch the Wild Earth channel ad-free 24/7, and you can even rewind if you have missed out on something. Enjoy the behind the scenes video clips as well as fireside chat or get the early offers on our travel experiences. It's the best way to stay connected and be part of the Wild Earth family.
Well, here we are at Tembe, everybody, and everyone's favorite elephant spot where we see so many of these beautiful animals hanging out, and it seems to be like they had a little bit of a meeting and are moving off now, maybe making their way to go and do some wallowing. We know that they love it there. Monique, you say after 9 years you finally gave in to the bird list. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. That puts a smile on my face. I know birding is not for everyone, and that's okay, but it does add so much to one's wildlife experience. And even on the show, whether it's through live at the waterhole or our live safaris, to be able to keep track of the bird species that we see, I think that's quite fun, and adds a whole another dimension to enjoying and viewing. So I highly recommend it. Report back soon, Monique, as your list is growing. I would love to be updated on that front. All right, we're going to head over to the Eastern Cape and see what Founders has for us. Oh, wow. We've got a little, I think, blessbuck that's lying here. Seems to be resting, sheltering. Looks quite chilly here today in the Eastern Cape. In fact, we've got cool weather in the Lowveld as well. You could see that Croc at the Olifants River was not in the sun, so it is overcast. Now, we often see blessbuck around here at Founders. We do see them coming down sometimes for water. bird hanging around on the left there. Not sure if that is a common starling with the yellow beak. Could be. Oh, hello. You're also coming to join. Wendy, you say that you definitely think it was a swallow-tailed bee-eater. Well, Wendy, it's possible. The only thing that is putting me off, well, two things really, for the birds that we saw there at Elephant Pan was the browny color on the top and the back of the head, and then also the fork not being very deep. And usually when it comes to the swallow-tailed, from seeing them myself, they almost look like a blue-cheeked bee-eater, but with the long blue forked tail. And that, it just gave more yellow and brown and light blue colors of the European. So hopefully we get another look at them. Maybe they even come a little bit closer and the lighting slightly different so we can see more detail. But we'll keep our eyes open to see if we see any more of either species. Would be fantastic. Okay, we're going to head over to Tau in Madikwe. Well, the sun is definitely shining here, and lovely to see so many animals out and about. There are some waterbuck there, impalas, and a baboon. Can see two waterbuck males there clashing heads a little bit. Now waterbuck males are very territorial, everyone. They can be extremely aggressive to one another if one does not submit to the other one's territory. Now, I don't know how serious I would make of this fight that we're seeing here, but I remember watching two bulls fight from the Letaba Bridge in Kruger, and it's actually quite scary to see. And you can imagine, I mean, with all antelopes with horns, they are very sharp. There's a lot of power behind them, and they can cause damage. But when you actually see the force which they can clash with one another, and you can imagine one of those horns stabbing through the skin or into the neck, can easily prove fatal. Now, these look like, I would say, quite evenly matched bulls on the younger side, just by sort of the width apart. The horns are still quite narrow, and also just the size of their bodies isn't quite as big maybe as the big territorial bull of this waterhole, but it doesn't mean that they won't try and work out dominance between, or practice to take on the main bull of the area. Benny, hello, you're 10 years old and you want to know if the rings on their horns keep the water from their faces. Now, Benny, it's interesting when it comes to the rings on waterbuck horns. There's a few different reasons why we think they may have those rings. Some people say it indicates age, number of rings, like similar to that of a tree, which can be possible because as they age, those horns get bigger and bigger for the males. But I think what it does do and benefit, I don't know if it has anything to do with water as such, but what it can do is if you look at them there clashing like that, it helps them grip, I think, between the horns so they don't just slide off of one another. And if you think of a big kudu bull, they've got curves to help them do that, whereas waterbuck are curved forward but completely straight in that regard. So those rings help when they're hitting into one another to actually grip on, potentially, I think. But otherwise, there's lots of things out here in nature that we don't always have a specific reason why they're there. Why have the white mark around the bum? Why do others not have that? It's all these things that keep us asking questions and learning more and more, which is a wonderful thing. Tennis, hello. You are asking about my bird list. I did get a few new lifers for my list starting on my last little break before I came back to Sandringham and did my tracks and trails trip. I went up to an area called Crystal Springs and I managed to see the striped pipit as well as the Drakensberg Prinia, which were both lifers for me, so that was quite exciting. We also got to see white-starred robin, which I had seen before in the Mechubas Kloof, but is a very special bird to see. And actually now on tracks and trails around Satara, we were driving right sort of on the last eastern road of the Kruger National Park from Satara towards Nuneti. And we managed to see Temminck's Corsa, and although not a lifer, but a very special bird as well to see, not all that common. So that was lovely too. Harvey, so firstly, when it comes to ticking off birds or bird species, you have to have a list to work from. The easiest nowadays is to have an app on your phone. That is what I use to form my lists and keep my life list. So I personally use the Roberts Birding app, but there's so many: Newman's, Sassel, Firefinch, Birder. There's lots of different options depending on what your preference is. So one can research and see which sort of interface one likes and prefers. If you get to anywhere near near my stage, you sort of have all of them to refer to, different illustrations and information that they may have. So I have a whole little birding folder on my phone for the different apps that one could get. But yeah, I think just starting off with one is a great start, and all you need really for a day-to-day interest that one might have. Otherwise, a physical book as well. I've also got the physical book, which is very nice to have in a vehicle, especially even on drive as well, when I like to show that to guests and viewers. It's nothing like a physical copy to have in your hand. And then it's basically just keeping record of your sightings. So of course, got hand in hand with that is being able to identify them. And what's great about starting birding, even if it's just in your backyard or maybe a nearby park or something, is to find out the birds that are common for your area. Now, what's great about something on a mobile application is because there are ways to basically get a birding list for your exact location, or even sometimes they have birding sites. So for example, you can get a list for the Kruger National Park, you can get a list for different reserves or different known birding locations within the country, and that helps a lot to be able to narrow down your list, so that when you're looking at something, it eliminates all the possibilities that it can't be based on location, which is a fantastic way to start. And then you just have to tick them off, and we say tick because on these apps you've got the picture and the name of the bird, and there's a little block that you can check, and that's why we say tick off the bird list. So Harvey, if you have it.
Oh, wow. Oh, even a hyena coming into the action as well now. Oh my word. She's stalking the hyena now. Leopard, hyena, lion, all together in one shot. Oh. Woo. This is action-packed.
I get to wake up every morning and go out there and look for cats. I get to create my everyday safari for myself. I grew up in the sort of central eastern suburbs of Johannesburg, fully qualified trails guide and a fully qualified nature conservationist. I love the wild places. I love being in the wilderness. It's probably one of the best jobs I've ever had and probably ever could have.
Join our expert guides at dawn for a live, immersive safari as the bush comes to life.
Found ourselves a chameleon, and look how he's changed color.
Every sunrise brings new discoveries.
Pound for pound, a leopard is one of the strongest cats around.
Ask questions, share your thoughts, and connect with nature, live and in real time.
Great excitement, great happiness.
Start your day with adventure.
We are here with a male leopard.
Dave, yes, I have. So there was, well, it was recorded more than once, but it is way sort of out of its regular movement or areas that it moves to, and that's the Madagascar cuckoo that was seen on a reserve just outside of Bloemfontein in South Africa. Incredible sighting. And then I didn't see this myself, but there was some olive bee eaters that were seen up in Pafuri, and they're usually on the Mozambican coast, but I think with some bad weather they were flown off course and were seen right there in the Makaleki concession, which was a first time sighting ever for the bird in that area within the Kruger. So I've heard of it happening, definitely, where birds are blown right off course. A red-tailed shrike was seen down in the Eastern Cape as well. I believe it was at Kwandwe, if I'm not mistaken. It could have been a different reserve, but in that area. I didn't see that myself either, but you hear of these things happening, and it definitely can happen, especially when bad weather is involved and birds are blown off their normal migratory courses. Tennis, I do the exact same thing. I think I'm on 553 on my life list now, and when you get to sort of that stage, unless you go to a whole new area, part of Southern Africa, or maybe go on a pelagic trip out to sea, it's going to take a while for me to gain all the extras as we go. Next stop is definitely number 600, so I don't know when that will be, but hopefully in the next year or two. And yes, part of that is every new trip that we go on, or a new location that I visit, or even, like you say, every year, we still get the satisfaction of the tick adding to your bird list. And it's keeps you going, I suppose, in that way. So I definitely hear you on that. Look at this one, giving the other one a little bit of a push with its bum. That is so funny. It's a lot smaller than the other one. One could mistake that for affection, but I don't think so. Gian, I am so jealous. You are heading to the Makaleki in November, which is basically the Pufuri area of the Kruger National Park, and you are hoping for at least 20 lifers with ease. Gian, it's going to be amazing. I am so excited for you. It's one of my favorite places in Africa to visit, and I wish I was coming along and showing you all those birds. It's going to be amazing. You're going to see, obviously I don't know what's on your list already, but things like Rakatel roller, Arnott's chat, Pell's fishing owl, black-throated wattle eye. Oh, there's so many. The list goes on. Of course, there's no guarantees, but the chances are that you're going to see so many new birds. And it's a wonderful feeling. I don't know if you've been to that area before, but you are in for an absolute treat. It is so beautiful with all the baobabs and the beautiful Luvuvu and Limpopo rivers. Well, we're going to leave these boys to enjoy their mud here. Let's head over to the hide. Oh,
At Wild Earth, we believe every story has the power to create change. That's why we've launched the Wild Earth Impact Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to conservation and social impact. By showcasing conservation stories, we can change lives, protect nature, and empower communities. We have partnered with Empowers Africa to accept tax-deductible donations from US donors. Your donation will help fund critical programs that support our mission. Join us and be part of the change.
The bush, full of beauty, wonder, and absolute chaos. And now, all that madness has its own show. It's called a Wild Bush Week. The countdown of the most outrageous, heart-stopping, and sometimes downright ridiculous wildlife moments of the week. Lions throwing their weight around. Hyenas gate-crashing the buffet. Leopards doing, well, leopardy things. Each week, it's a fresh reel of safari gold, a mix of drama,
She's just got an impala, everybody.
danger, and a healthy dose of laughter. So, if you fancy a highlight show with bite, and I don't mean just the animals, tune in to a Wild Bush Week. You bring the tea, and we'll bring the tusks, tails, and teeth.
what we talk about in the birding world at least, for a species that you can then tick off your list as having seen it. Shelley, yes, you can definitely have animal lifers. It is sort of a term that's associated with birding, but I definitely use lifers sometimes for mammals as well, or even reptiles. If it's a new species that I'd never seen before, like when I visited Mabula, I had an aardwolf, which was a lifer. I hadn't seen that species before. So yeah, definitely. I think it's a term that can apply to many things. This is such a beautiful bird, my goodness me. Often they are in pairs, so I wouldn't be surprised if there is a male around here somewhere. He would have a black eye, but have two little yellow wattles that sit just under the bill, close to the throat or the neck. And they sometimes are seen alone, but they would probably be within a small distance from one another. If there's one here, maybe the next waterhole or pan over from here would be the other one. Okay, we are going to head over and see what is happening at Camelthorn. Well, here we have an elephant that's come for, it looks like, a little bit of a drink and a splash. Oh, there's another one coming. You can see there's a bit of an inflow here, the water running, probably nice and fresh for them. Tennis, I wish I could say that I had photos of every bird that I've seen. No, I don't. So I know that there are some who would say that I need photos of all the birds I've seen to have them on my list, but it's just sometimes it's just impossible, especially some of the small ones. But I have basically My husband and I keep each other accountable, and so we make sure that we confirm it and positively ID, and we don't tick off unless we are 100% certain that that was the bird. I'm confirmed often through call as well. So yes, I'm getting there, I must say. I think after time, eventually you do get opportunities to photograph some of the smaller birds if they sit still long enough. But I was actually going through my photos. I've had a bit of time to finally get through some of the pictures that I've taken and sort them out and get rid of the ones that aren't really very good at all, and do some editing and all the rest. And I was like, oh, I actually do have quite a few bird photos, more than what I anticipated. But it does add to the birding mission, I would say, now that I've sort of seen many, almost all of the species that I get in my area, to then focus on actual photography of those birds. So it's almost like I get to redo my life list all over again with trying to get pictures of everything. Can see that the elephants come to this spot particularly to drink, and then they move off to where the water accumulates further down to do their splashing and cooling off. All right, let's head back over to Olifants. Well, our croc has closed its mouth, everyone, and decided to still lie here though and give us a fantastic view. Now let's just have a look at those feet. Wow, they are so fascinating to me. You can see the size difference between the front and back, and also those back feet having that clear webbing between the toes. The front ones not as much, those back ones really being the propeller when they're swimming, to really sort of pull them forward like that, much like ducks and geese also have that clear webbing between their toes. And interesting as well on an overcast day to see the coloration of this crocodile. We often see them as being quite sort of yellowy green with a lot of brown, whereas today they look a lot more grey, almost bluey in color just because of the overcast weather. Gillian, you'd like to know how long crocodiles live for. So I believe now crocodiles live between 50 to 60 years or so. In captivity, they can live up to 100 years. But of course, that's on average. So you might get some that are living for a shorter time, some that might live for longer. But overall, actually a very long lifespan, and similar in many ways to that of elephants, living the same sort of length of time. Jan, lovely to hear from you. Yes, it is a beautiful, beautiful crocodile, and a real prime example of this particular species. I love the way their front legs just sit like that, sort of bent, and those claws actually a lot smaller than what I think they are in my head. The back feet do sort of represent the size of the animal, but the front ones look quite small in terms of the actual claws that come out. Wildlife lady, you say you didn't realize they have webbing on their feet. Well, this is such a great example to show you, as I said earlier, the back feet actually carrying most of that webbing, which speaks to being adapted to living and spending so much time in the water. And then the front toes is a little bit, but definitely nowhere near as much. Clement, they catch both in and out of water, primarily inside of water. That's sort of their base or adaptation where they're most comfortable, I would say, but they definitely can hunt outside the water. They've been recorded doing that and will most certainly take the opportunity if presented to them if it is outside the water as well.
Let's go and take a look. See you out there.
What does it take to handle the wild? Balance. Determination. Focus.
Yaku!
And gear that can take a beating so you don't have to.
And that's it for this morning's drive.
She's just got her impala, everybody.
And we're going to be heading out and seeing what animals we can find.
Out here, every moment counts. As a Wild Earth explorer, you won't miss a thing. Watch the Wild Earth channel ad-free 24/7 and rewind if you want to catch something again. Enjoy behind-the-scenes videos, fireside chats, and early access to travel offers. It's the best way to stay connected and be part of the Wild Earth family.
right, everyone. Well, while these animals beautifully have their drink, we are going to head over to Jamala at Madikwe. We should be able to be back shortly at the other Africam locations, so we're just going to enjoy the scene here. Hopefully something does come down for a drink here at Jamala. But Keith, a very interesting question. You want to know if the Rothschild giraffe is the most common? No. So the most common or the species of giraffe that is least concern is actually the southern giraffe, and that's the one that we see throughout southern Africa. The species we would see here at Jamala as well. There are quite a few of those animals left. In fact, I think it's close to 70,000 basically individuals left, which is a really good number. Still very few in comparison to the size of the African continent, but in terms of their protection and number, it is a least concern species of giraffe. Following after that is the Maasai, which is the species we see at Oldonyo. They are vulnerable or endangered, and there's about half as many that are left in the world, about 45,000 or so. Then after that is the reticulated, which is classified as endangered, and there are only about 11,000 individuals of that particular species. And then the northern giraffe is endangered, of which 7,000 are there, but the three subspecies of the northern giraffe, the Kordofan, Nubian and West African, the Kordofan and the Nubian being critically endangered and the West African being vulnerable. So it really is, some species are quite numerous, whereas others are basically on the brink of not existing anymore, which is quite a scary thing.
See you out on the safari.
It could be a very exciting morning.
The Wild Earth Impact Foundation is a non-profit that uses the power of wildlife storytelling as a force for good. We create sustainable development projects that showcase conservation stories, empower people, and inspire environmental action. As a registered South African PBO, you can make a tax-deductible donation to the Wild Earth Impact Foundation. To find out more, visit our website.
Every week, the wilderness delivers.
And that's why we're here.
Drama, chaos, crimes, humour. All moments you'll never forget. We've counted them down, argued about them, and finally picked the very best. From rare sightings to classic bush showdowns, this is Nature's weekly highlight reel, sharp facts, bad jokes, and the wildest top 5 you'll see this side of the savannah. It's not just a show, it's a wild bush week.
Keith Johnson, you are joining us from Houston in the USA. Welcome. And you're asking regarding crocs and alligators, what's the difference between them? If there is anything more than just the shape of their snouts. So yes, there are quite a few differences. It really comes down, of course, to geographic differences and their location, but then also the strength and power of the individuals. You mentioned the shape of the snout, and yes, crocs have a lot longer, more slender snout, whereas alligators are much wider, and that directly correlates to the bite force that they have through that. So crocodiles are therefore able to take larger prey and just cause a lot more damage than alligators do or are capable of doing. There's actually a very interesting video, I remember watching it, with regards to the comparison between an alligator and a crocodile smashing or biting into a watermelon somewhere out there on the internet, and it really gives you a very clear idea of just how much more powerful a crocodile is. Also, behaviorally wise, the difference between crocodiles and alligators, and this again links to, I think, the bite force. It sort of goes together with that, is the actual behavior of the two animals, whereas crocodiles are much more aggressive than alligators through their behavior. Alligators generally tending to avoid conflict, whereas crocodiles will go for humans or anything really, and defend their areas and where they are, as well as take opportunities to hunt. Deb, that's exactly right. They are more ferocious than alligators based on behavioral studies. Yeah, Wildlife Lady Zebra Valley is still definitely going strong. I don't know exactly how many there are here, but it seems like hundreds. Sometimes I do wonder what these elephants are thinking. Sort of what's the plan? Where are they heading to? I imagine that, I could see some trees and vegetation in the background, but probably when you're at the water, you sort of don't really want to leave until you absolutely have to. Rather stick around, and just in case you get thirsty again. Oh, that one wasn't too happy. I'm pushing off that younger one. See, some zebras are trying to see if there's a gap for them. Very much a similar dynamic, I suppose, to that of Oldonyo that we often see, with the animals trying to get a gap for a drink, while the elephants are sort of hogging the waterhole. Let's head over to Safari Hook in Namibia. Wow, what a beautiful sighting with this big boy. I think he's been hanging out here for a few days. I definitely feel like I recognize him. There's also a gemsbok in the background that I think is making its way to the waterhole. And you can see he's got this big dark patch down the center of his head. Clearly had one throw of mud across the forehead, but not too committed to get his whole body muddy just yet. Yeah, computer enthusiast, it's an interesting one. So if the water holes that are pumped, were not pumped, I think very likely, given the way that reserves and systems are closed off with fences, for example, much of the population may very well die out, because oftentimes the reason that water is provided it's because the natural sort of migration routes and areas, because this elephant's noticing the Egyptian geese in front of it, I think, keeping its ears out, making itself look very, very big, and it's working, if I don't say so myself. It means that they can no longer move to areas like they naturally would have done so in the past, and so water needs to be given to these animals in certain areas. Now, reserve management and the powers that be within different areas will determine where and how much, and sort of if there's any waterhole rotation, etc., that needs to be done. But yes, if there wasn't water provided in many places, then it wouldn't be able to sustain not only elephants but many other animals that, everything needs a level of water to survive. Some will get it from just the environment without needing a watering hole, but animals like elephants definitely need a large amount of water provided to them if they cannot seek it out naturally for themselves from natural sources. Dan, he is a giant of a beautiful boy, isn't he? He really is, and so relaxed there, chilling. I think he's very comfortable in that spot, clearly having a little bit of a snooze. Can see another one arriving now. He hasn't been at the water too much at all, so we might see him cool off first, then have a drink. I'm not sure. Gian, the reason the elephant's just standing here is really because he is wanting to, I suppose, cool off, but also he's having a bit of a rest. He's where he wants to be. He's got no reason to move. I think those are European bee-eaters flying around. Just by the way, I think passing through at the bottom of the screen, they're flying across every now and again. But yeah, he's just really taking a moment. Eddies love to do this, where they rest around. And he's moving a bit more now, but they'll sort of semi-shut down. And also there's no rush for them. You know, they've come probably quite a long way to get here, and now just enjoying being at the water. You can see he's starting to splash around a bit more. Todd, thank you so much for joining us. You are off to work. It's great to have you on board, and Be sure to join us again tomorrow if you are able to. It is the beginning of the weekend for many of those who are working Friday today.
Best sighting I've presented. I found myself with wild dogs. We chased the dogs around, chased them around. They ate an impala. We got the end of that. Then another impala went into Gowrie Dam down the road there, and the wild dogs went around. Eventually the impala came close to the bank. One wild dog went and grabbed it and then just pulled it out and just did what wild dogs do. It was an emotional experience, but it was very, very special.
Wildlife spectacle on planet Earth. We'll see you there.
Safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife. And stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Can hear the zebras vocalizing in the background. Not a surprise, being how many there are here. Let's head over to Tau in Madikwe and see what's happening that side. Here we have some young waterbuck. You can see they all have horns. They're not too long just yet. Actually, almost pretty much all exactly the same age. Some winds come up as well in the area. Maybe a little bit of change of weather happening.
Real? You say the best kind of roadblock? Absolutely. Look at this.
Hello, girls.
If you love watching Wild Earth, here's a little tip. Become a member. You can gain access to the channel ad-free, you can rewind and re-watch sightings, and you can join our Tuesday live safaris. There's also behind the scenes videos, fireside chats, and every Safari Live episode, whenever you want it. It's just a better way to stay connected to nature.
Nesting and moving along the shoreline here. Now dussies will live in family groups. They can be quite large in number, those groups, but right now I can just see the one that is hanging out here. The others will, specifically the rock hyrax, which we're looking at here, they live in so many different types of habitats, from coastal areas to more sort of inland rocky areas, and also within even neighborhoods or sort of cities and towns, with as long as there's a bit of natural area, sometimes even storm gutters they've adapted to living in. So very wide range of places where they can survive. Almost looks statuesque lying here. Dussies love a bit of good sunshine, and once they've enjoyed themselves and basked, they'll often head up. There's a little bit of vegetation just above these rocks that they often feed on, and then they'll take shelter in between the rock crevices in the evenings. I can't believe there's only a few minutes left of the show today left. Thank you for joining us, everyone. If you have any last minute comments and questions, make sure that you do get them through. We will be back tomorrow. I won't be here though. I'll be back with you on Sunday. But it's been wonderful, so much to see out here. A little bit of birding that we were hoping for too. Hopefully this a dussie does move eventually. Ah, there we go. little bit of an itch. Very mobile little legs there for such a large little animal. Well, everyone, we have come to the end of our show today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all of your comments and questions. It has been wonderful having you on board, chatting to you all. And it's always exciting to think everything that is possible to see here on the show. And even if it is quieter, there's always the anticipation of the unknown. Remember that this afternoon we'll be live again, so make sure that you join for the sunset safari. But until I see you all again, keep well, everyone. Goodbye for now.